Let's talk about some scary stuff. But before we get started, let's fix this mood lighting. Today I have a super... Today I have a super interesting... This is just not a good look. This works. Today I'm here to tell you what is probably the scariest show of my childhood. And I know what you're thinking. Yeah, I've heard of Goosebumps, not that scary. And oh yeah, I've heard of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Also not that scary and super Canadian. We're not talking about those. Today we are talking about So Weird. Cue their theme song. That's all that I'll be playing for you because I don't want to be sued, but I would say go check out, if anything, the theme song because that is a theme song. I know, you're of one of two minds. Either you're like, so weird, what's that? Or you're like, oh yeah, I kind of remember that, but I don't really think about it. And that's kind of the issue. Of the trifecta of great childhood 90s to early 2000s, like scary television shows, it was the piece de la resistance that nobody seems to remember. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. Side note, So Weird ran from 1999 to 2001, which was peak Zoog Disney period. And you're probably also wondering, what the hell's Zoog Disney? Well, Zoog Disney was a mix of internet and television that Disney Channel ran, that they had like their own characters and you would do message boards instead of like the social media that we have now with like the hashtags and all that. Back then, you would go on a message board, type something up, and then they would be like, we're gonna ask an actor from famous Jet Jackson, what do you think of Oreos, or whatever. Just know that Zoog Disney was this really cool thing that was ahead of its time. The story of So Weird is about a girl named Fiona Phillips. She is on a tour with her mother, who is a kind of retired rock star. It's a weird, vague thing because they always talk about how she's gonna get this record contract, but it seems to be established that she already has had a record contract, so I guess her label dropped her at some point, or she's like moved away from her label or something like that. Ultimately, it's just a premise there to give them an excuse to travel around in a bus and go to weird places where weird happens. Alongside Fiona, who probably had the most 1999 girl look of any 1999 girl, we had her brother and the son/sons, because they sometimes bring in the other one, of her mom's band manager. So here's the thing with So Weird. When I say that it was the scariest show of that period of children's horror thriller genre for television, I really mean that. The reason I say that is because unlike Goosebumps and unlike Are You Afraid of the Dark, the show was rooted in truth to some degree, and that is kind of the most frightening part. Let's look at the first episode. In the first episode, titled Family Reunion, Molly is in Chicago to be playing a concert at the Chicago waterfront. At the same time, Fee starts noticing there's like weird, like ghostly things happening around the place that she's playing. The reason being is that the place that her mother is playing is haunted by a ghost boy from the sinking of the SS Eastland. The SS Eastland is an actual ship that actually sunk in the Chicago Bay. This is a kid's show on Disney Channel, and we're dealing with a very real-life drowning. It was a passenger ship based in Chicago, and it was used for tours. On July 24th, 1915, the ship rolled over on its side while tied to the dock in Chicago River. A total of 844 passengers and crew were killed in the largest loss of life in a single shipwreck on the Great Lakes. And this all plays out in the episode. That's fun. And this is the first episode of a paranormal children's show on the Disney Channel. So the thing about So Weird is that it was simultaneously ahead of its time and also very dated in the moment that it was being created. The thing that I think is most noteworthy is Fee's laptop. She has this magical laptop, and it's fascinating because she will go online and do research on things, and she's pulling information from clearly made websites that very much look the period of time that they were being produced in. And so she's somehow able to get this information very quickly. Keep in mind, this was before Google was the Google that we Google when we Google. She was going just to, oh, I know of this website that does stuff about cryptozoology, and she knows exactly where it is, and she knows exactly what information she's looking for. Doesn't Command F none of that. Additionally, back in the day when you were getting online, you needed this thing called a modem, and a dial-up internet connection, and a whole lot of time on your hands because that was slow as hell. Aside from Fee having a stupidly fast computer for the period that it was in, she somehow had magic Wi-Fi in a period of time when Wi-Fi was non-existent. Like, I know that there was like some level of like satellite uplink stuff and things like that, but a girl that is traveling with her mom Rockstar with her like IBM laptop is not gonna have access to that kind of technology. That was probably the weirdest thing about the show, was how does Fee's laptop work? I don't know. It's magic laptop. Looking at the episode Second Generation, that is probably the best example that I can think of the perfect So Weird formula. If you want to go search it out for yourself, it's season 2, episode 9. If you want the standard So Weird episode of, oh hey, she's in a place, oh hey, something weird happens, we're gonna find it out, ah, big reveal. I just realized I'm in a really weird position because I'm trying to determine how much to spoil on a show that's 19 years old. I never thought that I would be in this position, but that's the position I'm in. In addition to Second Generation, the episode following it, season 2, episode 10's UPA, that stands for Out of Place Artifact. UPA. That too is a very classic example of what the So Weird formula is. Side note on UPA though, it does have a pre-established story arc going back to the middle of the first season called Simplicity, where they go and deal with some gremlins that are taking over the place. It was a weird show. So Weird had no business having as good of continuity as it did, especially when you consider that this is a kid's show. Nobody expects it to have a really good continuity. But not only that, it has a story arc that spans not only one season, but multiple seasons. Pre-binge watching era, when they established something in episode 1, season 1.
I'm not as sure about things as you are, Fee. But sometimes, especially when I'm playing, it's like your dad's right there with me. It's just a feeling. Maybe it's not the same as believing in ghosts, but it's something.
We get a slight payoff at the end of season 1.
Turn off your machine and I'll let you speak to your father. You're desperate to know, aren't you? Think of all the questions you could ask him. Why he died, where he is now.
But we have an even bigger payoff at the end of season 2. That is how brilliant this show is. As you can see, I love the first 2 seasons of So Weird. Then there's the third one. It's okay. As great as the first 2 seasons are, the third season is kind of hit or miss. You do have a continuation of some of the story plots and everything like that, but at the end of the day, if you had to end it at a particular point, just call it a day at the end of season 2. So at the very beginning of season 3, we are introduced to Annie. Basically, it's Fee's replacement. The entire deal is that Fee is gonna go live with her aunt Seattle because nothing weird happens in Seattle. At the same time, Annie, who is the daughter of some friends of the family that have been off in the jungle for like the last 15 years, just comes back into their lives. I don't fully understand it, and things do get weirder. Now we have Annie here. She's a musician too, so we got like a mentor-mentee thing going on to fulfill that mother-daughter bond that Fee and Molly had. She's also followed by a Black Panther. The Black Panther symbolism is really confusing and lacks a lot of context through the entire show. And when it is actually given context in the grander scheme of the show and they actually explain what happened to her as a child, really doesn't help all of the other times that the Black Panther shows up. That's its kind of through line, whereas Fee's father is kind of the through line of the other 2 seasons. Also, I learned that when we think of Black Panthers, they're either black leopards or black jaguars. And in this case, because she was in South America, it was a black jaguar. However, the panther that they show in this is of the African variety. So, science. I actually did some research. I think my other issue with season 3 is that in the first 2 seasons you have Fee seeking out this weird stuff and taking the time to try and fix it. When it comes to Annie, she just kind of lets it happen. And that's the episode. That said, season 3 does have its highlights, that being Bangle By. The premise of this episode is pretty simple. They roll into this town, and the thing that they notice about the kids is that they are super polite, and all they do is play this game called Bangle By.
Almost there. Now you must get past the pendulum. The pendulum. The pendulum.
It's a brainwashing episode. But what I have to give to this episode is that it does bring in the main characters into the plot and into the actual premise of the plot in a really nice way. You have Jack and either Carrie or Clue, I can't remember because they kind of could be interchangeable depending on how busy Varric Von Detten was working on Brink or whatever. They get a hold of the game, there's brainwashing that happens, gotta figure out a way out of the brainwashing. Why is the brainwashing around? What does it have to do with this old lady? It's not a particularly strong episode of the whole, but it is a strong episode of season 3. For my last 2 points on season 3, first off, we have Annie, who I have described as musician ex machina. There are multiple times where, oh hey, I'm just writing this song, and Annie has like found this piece of wood, and she's whittled herself a flute, and somehow in whittling herself a flute, she's made like it have perfect pitch, and she just plays it and she's absolutely perfect, and oh, that's the sound that's missing from my Molly Phillips song is Girl on a Flute. Wood flute that she whittled like that day and figured out how to play herself.
There is no might have been, I say it's destiny. Out of all of the lives we could be.
I'm not a musician. Last complaint about season 3. Last episode was a clip show. That is how you end this brilliant, brilliant series. By a clip show. It is easily my favorite of the paranormal, horror, thriller, children's television genre, and I think that anybody that's even vaguely interested in that should check it out, because if anything, it's just a fun show to check out. It's the kind of show that would deserve a reboot, but I am fearful of who would actually be able to pull it off. Probably my biggest disappointment is the fact that, you see these guys here, and So Weird is not. So Weird never got a DVD release, and it's never seen a streaming release. So the only versions that you can find right now are on YouTube and Dailymotion, and basically you just have to type in your episode on Google and find one that's decent. I'm talking to you, Disney. You have this thing called Disney Plus coming soon. Why not give us So Weird? I'm not asking for much. I'm not, like, you don't have to give us Brink or Luck of the Irish or even the Jersey. Famous Jet Jackson I feel like could probably win some eyes, but anyway. But So Weird. It's so simple, and it is a show that's built for streaming. As I've stated already, it actually has a storyline that runs through all of the series, and this is your chance. It costs you nothing. Just throw it on a hard drive somewhere, put it online, make it happen. Do it for me. Do it for the fans. Do it for the money, because I want to give you my money so that I can watch So Weird in the best quality I possibly can. So let me know if you're checking it out, or if you have any other suggestions on something that I should check out or should tell you guys about, or anything vice versa. Consider the comment section my suggestion box. Hope you've enjoyed, be it day, night, whatever. I hope I've made your day just a little weirder. One could say, very weird. Thanks for watching.
Whoa, look, a photo studio.